Hey, mess makers. Before we dive into today's episode, I just wanted to take a moment to personally invite you to join the Messy mailing list. This is where I will be dropping exclusive content, including tools, sneak peeks on what's coming up, and I want to hear from you guys. So if you have any questions or thoughts, this is your way to get interactive with me and with Inside Out. So make sure you head over to the show notes to sign up, and I'm super excited to get messy with you guys. All right, back to the episode. Welcome to the Inside Out podcast. I'm your host, Jojo, and this is where we will navigate the mess together. That is mental, emotional, and spiritual. Let's get messy. Hi, everyone. Happy Wednesday. Welcome back. You guys, we've taken a little bit of a left turn, if you will, and we're focusing more on alignment in career. Now, if you haven't heard my last episode about the huge career shift that I made in my life recently and what that really has meant for choosing myself, choosing my soul, really being in alignment with like who I am and like why I feel like I'm on this planet, go back and, listen to that, because this is going to be a continuation and a conversation with a long-term friend of mine and real estate entrepreneur. She has her own brokerage, her own business. She has a national platform with a bunch of women called Power Haus. And she's honestly been an inspiration of mine, just watching her thrive and break out from the mold of the 9-to-5. I want to welcome Morgan Hawes to Inside Out. Morgan, thanks for coming on Inside Out.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for letting me bombard your little Arizona vacations so that I can come and take you to some Pilates and do some fun stuff.
Oh, I love it. I wouldn't have it any other way. You got to mix business and pleasure at all times. And honestly, there shouldn't even be an overlap. I feel like in your life, you shouldn't have like, this is my work, and then I go and have fun. Well, I know a lot of people have that, so I'm sorry that I'm saying it that way, but the way that I want to build out my life is that all of it blends together and there's like a seamless sort of transition between the two. And I don't know, I think you're definitely someone who lives by that. And that's why I wanted to have this conversation, because your work and your personal life are so blended together, which I think is so powerful. And that's probably why you've had so much success in your career. So tell me a little bit about what it is that you do so that people can kind of get to know you a little better. And then also tell me about Power Haus, because that's actually new to me. And that's actually something I'm super interested in.
Yes, I'm so excited. And I couldn't agree with you more. I think that's how I've built my entire business. And before I even knew what business I was really going to be building young, I knew that I wanted it to be seamless with my life. I wanted it to be natural to who I am, because the passion is going to be there for a little bit. But if you don't have that tenacity through market shifts and through any changes that are thrown at you, just life in general, you're not going to be able to sustain it. And I want something that is easy to sustain because it's my lifestyle. And I think that's how I've built all of my businesses. And I've really come to a place where I now feel like I am in alignment. I've gotten out of that hustle that I think everybody was taught to do from a very young age. And I now realize it doesn't have to be that hard. And so I got my real estate license at 18. I did not think that that's what I was going to do. I thought I was always going to hold real estate on the side of the career that I chose, which at first was neuroscience. I wanted to be a neurosurgeon, and very quickly said,
I'm sorry, I didn't even know that. We literally went to school together and I didn't even know that.
I actually got a full ride to ASU for neuroscience specifically because of like my thesis and everything. I was so into it, super passionate about it. I am still obsessed with reading about neuroscience, but good Lord, I would still be in graduate school and a residency, and I wouldn't even be like out in my career yet. So I'm beyond glad that I shifted my perspective very quickly.
So what was that perspective? Like, what made you shift that?
I think a big one was growing up, I saw my parents, my grandparents, and a few other people around me that were able to either retire young or live kind of a different life because for 20, 30 years, they started slowly buying real estate over time and they started building that passive income. And it didn't come for a while, but then I started to see them be able to manipulate, kind of play in this game of real estate. And that's why I love it so much and decided to go full-fledged into a career and go in different ways with it, because I realized how creative it can actually be. It's more than just buying a house. You can really not only manipulate it to cater your life and your lifestyle and what you need to emotionally regulate yourself. It can be such a personal experience, but it's also a huge wealth building tool. And I just find the game of it so much fun. And I think that shift really took place when I first got to ASU. And I was going for neuroscience, but of course I'm in all the basic classes. But I remember 2 months in, my advisor called us in, getting a game plan. How's everything going? Feel like you're settled here? And then her next question was, okay, we need to start thinking about graduate school. And if you want a certain residency, we need to position you in the right way. And I was like, I just got here. I just got done applying. Like, I am 17 years old still. I hadn't even turned 18 yet when I was a freshman. I'm like, I can't do this. Wow. And I started looking at what that life would really look like and building it out. And I was like, wow, I love this. And I want to keep reading about it. And I want to know about it. And I want to take it into other things that I do. But that's not the life that I want. I want to be so much more free. I want to choose what I'm doing with my time. And like you mentioned at the beginning, I want my life to seamlessly blend into my work. And that was not going to happen. That was going to take over my life.
Yeah. And it would have become completely your life. It would have been neuroscience and then life.
And very little of it.
Sounds like it.
I have a lot of friends that are in the medical field, and that's exactly how their life is. Mm-hmm. And I am very glad that it was just this gut instinct in me that was like, wait, this doesn't feel good. And this doesn't feel in alignment. So let's shift our focus. And because of that, I always knew that I was going to hold real estate on the side. That same year, ASU came out with their real estate development program. And so it seemed like a no-brainer. I did that and double majored with business entrepreneurship, which was a perfect combo.
Wow.
And got my license, bought my first condo, and just started building from there. I literally followed different infill developers in the area around so that I could learn the luxury development process.
Yeah.
During all my classes, we were pitching actual projects, and I was doing all the different research of actual land in Phoenix and like doing mock presentations and pitching and getting quotes from actual builders that would come in and really get like immersed into that business side. And I just wanted to know all the creative ways that I could utilize real estate to build wealth, but more importantly, build a life that I wanted and make it unique to me. And so that's kind of where it took off.
And that was 10 years ago. That was a decade ago, because that's when I moved to New York.
Yes.
You were just getting started in that. And I was like, all right, peace, bye. And I jetted off that direction. And now we're sitting down a decade later, and you have a brokerage that you just opened yesterday. By the way, congratulations.
Thank you.
That is so freaking amazing. And you have this national platform, Power Haus Women. Tell me about Power Haus.
Yes. Power Haus Women it started as a group chat. I love the evolution of Power Haus Women because I'm one of the founders. There's 5 of us. We're all in different states because we're national. Are now coming soon. We'll be going globally as well, which is super exciting. I can't wait to add that in. But it started with just 5 girls who, a few of them knew each other loosely. This invisible string theory in my life is just, I love it to death. One of the girls, one of my now best friends in real estate, Gia, she's in Boston. She reached out to me on Instagram, cold DM, just saying, hey, I've followed your stuff for a while. I really like what you're doing. I'm trying to build that here in Boston. Like, I'd love to connect with you sometime. I'm like, I love Boston. I summer on the East Coast all the time. Boston
sure do.
is usually my go-to. That's why I see you. I've made many trips there. Boston is one of my favorite places in the world, and I happen to be going there that summer. And I was like, I'm going to be there in 2 weeks. Let's meet up. We met up in person, hit it off right away. She's another curly girl too, matched with just hair. She connected me with some of the other girls, and it literally started as a group chat of just, hey, we're all younger girls in real estate, but we're doing something different. We're not just selling houses. We're literally building our own businesses and finding our own niche. And we want it to be more than selling the house. Mm-hmm. It's being immersed in the lifestyle, knowing the micro and macro elements that actually affect purchasing a home and how you can position that strategically to the person, not a market, because every person can be looking for very different things in any market. So just approaching business in a different way. Literally started as a group chat, and we would have little FaceTimes every now and then. We would get together, and sometimes we just needed to vent. And then all of a sudden we got a girl from Chicago that started reaching out to us, and we're like, oh, she's kicking ass on Instagram. This is amazing. Let's keep flourishing this. And then we got Texas, and then we got a few other places. And once we got about, I think, 12, 15 girls, we were like, okay, this is actually much bigger, and they wanted something more. So we started doing masterclasses every month. We do, and those are all public masterclasses for female entrepreneurs. So we have now subsected.
So you don't have to be in real estate.
You don't have to be in real estate for the masterclasses.
You have to be a female.
You actually, we're very branded to females, but especially for the masterclasses, we're like, anybody and everybody that can learn from these topics, please come and hang out.
But it is like a female-based company.
It is a female-based company. We started as, we kind of have two sections now. Power Haus Women is the overarching company. And that started as the real estate platform. We have the exclusive market partners in different states.
But men aren't left out.
They're not left out.
Men, you're not left out.
You're not left out.
We're keeping you in this. Don't worry.
You're still involved. And now we have we deemed it the Power Haus Society, which Power Haus Women is more real estate specific. They tie together, but Power Haus Society is more the entrepreneurship. It doesn't have to be real estate specific. We can all learn from each other because our whole goal is to actually build businesses, not just be working in what we think is a creative or unique business. But in reality, you're just on a hamster wheel doing whatever the internet told you to do or whatever your mentor told you to do. So we're trying to break that mold. So that's been really fun. We do those public masterclasses. Entrepreneurship level does not have to be real estate related at all. They've been amazing. We open that up to everybody. We have about 200 members in that community alone. And then every month we're getting new guests, which I'm getting you on because you would be amazing. And really opening it up to new audiences. We do masterminds. That's all the internal real estate calls. And that's how we get our individual businesses to the next level. What are we doing that nobody else is doing? How can we creatively collaborate across the nation, soon to be globally, to bring more benefit to all of our clients and to all of our markets? And then we also do small group calls. So we bunch a bunch of the girls, because now we're almost to 55 market partners specifically that are exclusive. So we do small group breakouts where they can get paired in different ways. And some are moms, some are really young that are just getting started. Some are on teams, some are solo agents. And we'll pair them together so that they can collaborate even further and learn from each other.
That's amazing. You're just connecting people who are having a passion to chase something that aligns with them, that want to not be in that mold of the rat race of the 9 to 5, the wake up, eat, sleep, works, whatever order that you do that in. That was not the order. But what made you decide, like, the 9 to 5 is not for me? Like, why did you know that was not your path?
I think I always kind of knew it. And I almost blame Red Rock, where we went to high school, because we would have late starts on Wednesdays.
And you and I would sneak out.
And we would go do something else. But I think it honestly started like as early as high school, because I got done with most of my classes early. We would have late starts on Wednesdays from the very beginning. And then my senior year, I had like 2 classes my entire senior year. I showed up at like noon and would leave at like 2:30. Like I was done.
Were your parents in a 9 to 5?
My dad was in a 9 to 5. Okay. My mom wasn't. She was retired and then like did a bunch of different stuff around the house or picked up like odd things, but she worked on her own time. And so I think that was a big one of growing up in that household. I didn't like the fact that my dad was gone like so consistently because of the 9 to 5. You are gone in that window time frame. I'm like, I know exactly when he's not going to be around, which was almost sad. And then for my mom, it was almost the exact opposite. Like we could wake up and her big thing was coffee. And so we would get coffee all of the time and just try new coffee shops and hang out there for a long time and just talk. And so we could do that at any point. Or we would go, I'm not a big hiker anymore, but she was a big hiker. And of course, in Sedona, that's what you have to do. But we could do that at any point. We could really be super flexible. And it was really about learning what we wanted to do. Do we want to wake up and go to the gym? Do we want to wake up and have a really slow morning before school? Like have that flexibility to choose every day can be different. Just decide what you want and what's good for you in that moment.
And some people do really well with structure and there's nothing wrong with that. And if that is you and you are in that 9 to 5 and that really works for you, one of my best friends, he's very structured. He has his workouts at this time on Tuesdays and Wednesdays and does this. Like he's very, very organized. And I love that because you know who you are, but there's also people that don't work well with a super regimented schedule. And I 100% am one of those people. Like I need to be of that spontaneity, like being able to kind of just like do whatever and picking things that actually feed that rather than feel like they're boxing you in. And maybe you're in a career and you don't even know what it is that you like. Maybe you just need to take a week off and say, how do I want to wake up today? What does this feel like? How do I feel like maybe just taking a walk on the beach in the morning? I don't know. Figuring that out, I think, is the first step. But you just knowing kind of very young, oh, this is not going to work for me. And then also being like in college and saying, yeah, neuroscience isn't going to be the thing is amazing because I mean, I didn't get to it late. I wouldn't say I got to it late at all, but I've also never had a 9 to 5. Like I've had a very fluid, who the heck knows where Jojo's going to be today kind of life.
Yes.
But that works for me. And it's figuring out really what speaks to your soul.
Yes, I think you nailed it there. And that just goes hand in hand with the alignment and realizing, especially young, play with it a little bit because you don't know yet. You don't know if you are a full routine person. Maybe a part routine is really good for you. Maybe you're the type of person that gets up and you need a really loose morning routine and a really good night routine before bed. But during the day, you need to have flow. And that's a little bit of how I am. I like having my few things that I do in the morning. They can be super random. I like to go with the flow. So I like to move in the morning. I like to be very intentional, like set an intention for the day. But that could look like me sitting in bed with a coffee doing that. It could look like me going out to the backyard. I could go to the gym. Doesn't matter. There's not that like strict, like I have to get up and go to the gym at 4 a.m. and do a cold plunge and do all of that. No, that will never work for me. I'm not a routine person. I have my things that I know that I'm going to do throughout the day. I don't know when I'm going to do those until that day because I'm like, things pop up and like sometimes I'm running around because I'm like, ooh, a house I just found out is coming on market. And the only way to beat it is if I'm going right now and right now alone, everything else will go onto and I'll just shift them around. Mm-hmm. And I live in flow and I thrive off flow. When things are strict, I actually, like if I look at my calendar and it is strict or repetitive, like week over week, I look at it and I get so anxious. Yeah. I'm like, who am I? I'm stuck in a box. I'm not me anymore. I'm not free. And that's what I feel.
I definitely feel that because in New York, I have a very, regimented schedule. It's not the same thing every single day, but it's like be here, be here, be here, be here. And that was really making me feel stuck, really making me feel boxed in. And now that I've made this like huge shift and huge pivot, I know that I'm going to be, for instance, in Arizona this weekend. I didn't have a flight. I didn't know what day I was leaving. My friend was looking at me sideways like, I'm sorry, you're going to be there what day? And you don't have a flight? You don't know if you're going Thursday or Friday? What is going on with you? And I'm like, yeah, I mean, I know what is going to happen. I just don't know how it's going to unfold. And I think that for me is kind of perfect because you see so many, expectations is such a big thing in my life that I'm like trying to get on the other side of because I'll expect something to go a certain way. And the minute that I've like let go of how it's all going to unfold and like, it needs to be this and like go here, everything, and we know this, but everything just is organic and perfect and you couldn't have planned it better. I just had a situation in my life, like it was just a fun weekend, but it was not planned. Everything just like was so effortless. And it was like, yeah, imagine if we had planned anything. Like it wouldn't have gone that way. We knew that there were certain things that we were going to hit. Like I know I'm going to work out at these times and do certain things, but like then just like ease off, like take your foot off the gas, put it in cruise control and like, let's see where it takes us. Which I'm all about.
And especially when you're living in alignment already, when you have that flow, you're opening up the floodgates so that opportunities are coming to you. And then you can decipher which ones do I want to take? And when you're living in that alignment, I shouldn't be surprised anymore because it's becoming so normal. But I still am that I'm like, holy cow, like I know that I'm doing these right steps to like manifest, whatever you want to call it. Years ago, I was doing things that I'm like, I want to work with this ideal client. I want to work with this specific person, or I want to buy this home one day. So I'm going to do everything I can to know these neighborhoods, to learn the ins and outs. What are these people doing? How are they living? What is their lifestyle like? Like I'm so immersed into it that it has become my life. And now like my life and my business and everything, it's not a balance, it's this cohesion. And I think that's where
I love that.
Yes. When people ask me about work-life balance, I'm like, ugh.
Like, what's that?
Like, first of all, gross. Second of all, at least in my industry, like at least the way that I work in my industry, I could not imagine being like, oh, it's 5. I'm turning off all my stuff. Too bad. The real estate market is moving all of the time. All of the time.
But you're not getting exhausted by that because you're living in that flow, as you were saying.
Yes.
And it's not like, oh, I have a work call at 7 p.m. It's like, well, I have a work. It's like you're jumping up and down rather than like, this is a problem.
Right. And because I'm in alignment now, and given we all have to start somewhere. At the beginning, you take on clients that you don't want to, don't like, but you have to, and you put in the reps. And now that I'm 10 years in, I still will have clients every now and then that I'm like, oof, all right.
Here we go.
Here we go. Let's buckle up. Let's do it. But now I've built the business where, because I'm in alignment, because I have the reps, because I put in all that dirty work, now the clients that see my value and see how I'm doing things differently, they're flocking to me. I don't pay for leads. I don't do any of that.
You don't chase.
I work strictly on word of mouth referrals and repeat clients. And they have become, the majority of my clients we're hanging out with all the time. We're going to Global Ambassador and grabbing drinks. We're playing pickleball at their house. We're in the areas because that's what we're doing.
It's automatically just integrated into your life.
And then you're connected on a different level. Like, all of these clients are friends. And when you can, especially with business, when you can talk with your client as a friend and you actually get to know what they want and you have their best interest in mind and you're not just pushing a house at them or a program or whatever it is, you get to see a vulnerable side of them that you can help them capitalize on. And I think it's I always bring it back to, like, it's a game. How can we make the general real estate market game work for a very specific individual? How do we create a strategy for that? And it's fun. And so when you can then work with clients that are friends and then you see them all the time and they see all the stuff that you're doing and they want to check in, they want to pry and they want to see how they can get involved in other ways, it's very, very fun. And it's that cohesion. I don't like work-life balance at all. I think that's not my thing at all. I feel like you need to have that. And I think people are craving it.
Really like interpersonal connection, not just that hierarchical of like, this is my boss and this is HR and and like going up like the food chain, which yes, that does exist. And I know I do have an audience of listeners that do have that part of their life, but the integration of, at the end of the day, these are just people, like seeing them for that and not it's like, and this is my boss. Yes, it's your boss, but like, is there, I don't know, do you like your boss? Do you like your job? Do you like your life? Do you like your work? And asking yourself those questions. And that brings me to this question. How do you get into alignment?
Ooh, I think a lot of trial and error, which I have definitely done repeatedly. and I think you go through seasons too. There are certain seasons in my life that, like, especially at the very beginning, I got licensed at 18. Do you know how many people trust an 18-year-old to buy a property? Very few. Very, very few. So I had a lot of things working against me. So I had to put in some crap time and really kind of bought into the hustle culture. It's a grind. You have to be working day in and day out on things that honestly didn't really go that far. I think things that I'm doing now, and I will say I adopted them pretty quickly because I got burnt out so quickly doing so many of those tasks of the hustle culture, how every realtor should come in and you need a door knock and cold call and do all the things. Luckily, I knew right away those were never going to be for me. If I get a cold call, I've never been angrier in my life if I'm on the phone. Why would I want to do that to somebody else? And same thing, when people knock on my door, even now I peek out, and if it's not an Amazon person, I'm like, no,
not today.
Not today. Like, you can sit out there in the heat. I'm not answering my door. Like, you were not invited over. If I don't expect you, don't come. So I knew that right away was never going to be a fit. But I think it took doing some of that, doing the reps, doing that hustle culture, getting burnt out, and then realizing, like, hey, I love real estate. Instead of me trying to do what everybody says to, like, speak to the general audience of use me as your realtor or however you need to market yourself or your niche. Instead of doing that, I started going and sharing the things that I liked about my market and the houses that I would want to buy, the opportunities that I saw that were interesting, the communities that I thought were going to really thrive for certain reasons. And I started doing more education kind of behind the scenes and showings that were wrapped around that. And it was properties that I liked. It was areas that I liked. It was the place that I lived in. It was the place that I knew. I knew the business owners that were opening up the coffee shop. I knew the people who were doing the new speakeasy. I knew the people who were like kind of working in the background to build the culture of Arizona here. And it was fun. It was fun. And that was actually in alignment with me. And I at first thought that was just going to get me out of kind of that like hustle, burnt out rat race. But then I started getting clients come to me and they're like, I love that property too. I love what your design idea of how you would fix it. I love your play of instead of keeping it as a long-term rental, you would do X, Y, and Z to make it a corporate rental, which would give you a way bigger return on your investment just because you know that area well. And I liked seeing that.
Yeah. And you're not one to do what everyone else does. And
Yes.
I think that's what like sets people who are successful in the entrepreneurial world apart. They're not trying to like be someone else. And so many of us are trying to like fit in and not stand out. And I mean, everyone wants to stand out, I think. But I think just really ingraining of like what you want. How would you say someone who isn't in alignment, maybe stuck in a 9 to 5 or doing something where they're like, okay, well, this all sounds fine and good, but like I'm in this situation. How would you advise them, not even from a real estate standpoint, just generally, spiritually, how to align and like get on their purpose or find their purpose? Because I mean, I have my ideas, but I'm curious what yours are.
I think it's all trial and error. And so I'm a big believer in practice things and see what your body and your mind tells you from it. And if it doesn't work for you, ditch it. But if it does work for you, or little parts about it work for you, tweak it and keep exploring like how that really changes your life. And it could be as simple as, this sounds dumb and really simple, and I feel like everybody should know this, but for some reason it clicked for me when I was like 28, and I don't know why it took that long. But when I get up in the morning, and again, my morning routine looks different all the time, but I have certain things that I like to do. I don't care when I do them, but I like to do them in the morning. But what I learned is when I go out in the sun, even if it's for 5 minutes in the morning, I feel so much better during my day. Yeah. And I could sit there and I could feel like crap, go out in my robe and just sit in the sun and be like, okay, I'm seeing the sun. I'm doing my morning routine. I will come in and I will feel better. Other times I have more energy. I'll do a whole yoga routine out there, and I'll throw fetch with my dog. I'll do something different, like depending on my energy levels, and I'll play into it. But I know that that's going to make me feel better. And it's something so simple.
I think you hit the nail on the head too by you're going to hit certain things. You don't know what order it's going to be, but just doing things that are going to like make you happy. And when something doesn't make you happy, like trial and error, that's not going to work. I think people get too attached. Like I'm definitely that way. Like I'm like, well, I already said I was going to do this, so now I need to follow through. And I had to let go of that limiting belief or that like monotony or that looping that I'm like, but now I've said I'm going to do this, and now people are going to think I'm a failure. And what is that? Like, no one cares.
No.
Literally, nobody freaking cares what you're doing. Are you happy? For me, I had such a mental entrapment when it came to like, well, I moved to New York for acting and modeling and blah, blah, and ew, vomit, who cares? Like literally the amount of people that have come to me since I've chosen a different direction, started the podcast, stepped into aviation, that are just like, you are like light and just, you seem so much happier. I'm thinking, oh my God, they're going to think I'm a failure because I'm stepping away from entertainment, whatever the heck that means. And in reality, they're just like, dude, you're thriving. You're just, you're living, and you're living your truth and your essence. And that's why things are falling into place. But we get so wrapped up in how's this going to be perceived? How's it going to be taken? And oh my gosh, I've literally haven't made steps. I stopped myself for 6 years doing things that I wanted to do when I was 24 because I was scared that I was quote unquote giving up on the 6-year-old that had the dream of becoming an actress, or like, okay, that can all be transformed. And it's not that I'm giving up on the 6-year-old. It's that I'm actually stepping into a 29-year-old who wants to actually make a shift and actually make a change and do something that's gonna make future Jojo happy. Not that's gonna disappoint past Jojo, because past Jojo only wants future Jojo to succeed. So it's like, but it's balancing those two, I guess, sides of it, because we're so attachment.
Yes.
That's what limits us, attachment.
Yes. I think you nailed it earlier too, when you also talked about attachment of just when you are simple as planning, when you're so attached to planning a trip and exactly how it's going to go. Maybe you'll hit all of that, but you know what you're going to miss? You're going to miss all the spontaneity. You close yourself off to any of those options because you're so detailed and fixated on sometimes nothing. But that's what's important to you. And I think that's what I realized. I used to try to control everything. Mm-hmm. And I mean, to the littlest details, I would try to have so much control because I believed if I have more control over something, then I will get to my outcome in a better way. When in reality, I just pigeonhole myself in a box, and I'm hoping that I live up to that expectation, but it truly is hope at that point, because you can only do so much because you set yourself up to do one thing and one thing only. Mm-hmm. When you are made for so much more, and I think that's such a beautiful thing. Like, I love seeing my friends thrive and change careers. I love seeing my friends thrive and just add something to their business. I like that they just add a random hobby in for no reason, just because it makes them happy. Like, I want to know the people for the human beings that they are, because we we have so much duality to us. And I love the duality. I don't want the people that just are the same thing over and over again.
The monotony, just like the robots.
Yes. Like go out and find, I don't care what it is. Go find whatever you're passionate about. I don't care if it's your business. I don't care if it's a hobby. I don't care what it is. I want you to be so excited about something that if I'm around you, I feel your energy.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like, especially the last few years, I feel energy on a whole different level now. And when I'm in a room with people, I can immediately know if I'm in a room with people who are game changers or people who are just there. And they're probably just, and not to say that they're not happy, but they're probably just living life and they're just there.
Figuring it out.
And maybe trying to figure it out, but not quite there yet. And then the people who are willing to fail, but they want to go after something and they're willing to pick something up for a little bit and be like, that's not for me. I'm going to go try this over here. And they're willing to change that, but they're going for it.
Yeah.
I love that. And that makes me so happy. And I know it gives me energy, and being around people like that gives me energy. So that's what I try to be around all the time. And I try to encourage other people. Like when you feel that passion and that energy about anything, chase it. I don't care what it is.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Absolutely. And to go back to what you're saying about like the control aspect of like trying to like maneuver things and like you think like you're the puppeteer and like at the end of the day, I mean, it's funny because we don't have control. I know we all conceptually know that, but we still try to control like our outcomes, our situations, our careers, our lives, our circumstances. But at the end of the day, and I want to tie in the invisible string theory to this, we are the ones that are puppets. We have an invisible string that's being pulled to our destiny, whatever alignment that's actually meant for us. And we might get that pull, we might fight back. And that's where that tug of war and that fight happens and alignment takes longer and there's more chaos and more BS that happens around us. But at the end of the day, we don't have control. And there's this invisible string theory because you find your people, you start connecting with people. And like you were saying before, you know that you're going after the same things. You're suffocating the systems. You're going after all the things that you should be. But then it's still surprising when things actually click into place. And I've had a lot of moments like that recently where I'm like, why is everything so seamlessly working out? And it's because of that. It's because we are on the string.
Exactly. I think that's a big piece of, I love string theory. And I also I loved when you're being pulled towards something, seeing yourself almost as a vessel of like, you are a creator and a being in and of yourself, but the universe works in wild ways and you are one freaking person in a universe of billions. Like there's no way that you can have control. You can do as much as you can and things are still going to go wrong. Things are going to go really right, but you just have to be doing something in order to find the path, find your calling, and then be the vessel.
To receive.
Yes. Receive it and then be able to share your skills, your talents with whatever that is. If it's a small population of the world, if it's a big one, doesn't matter. See yourself as a vessel and see yourself as a tool. Continually evolve yourself because you're capable of so much more.
I love that. Well, let's get messy with this mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. So when you first started in real estate, what beliefs or mindsets did you have around success?
Ooh, I feel like I was everybody was throwing the hustle culture kind of aspect into everybody's face, especially being so young. They were like, you have to put in the reps, you have to do the time, but you have to do the dirty work that nobody wants to do. And I let myself believe that and got so bogged down by it because it's so not me. It was so not in alignment. That instead of doing anything, I did nothing because you're almost stuck by either fear or
paralysis. It's like paralysis overload.
Exactly. And for me, that was the hardest thing to get through because it just felt so out of alignment already that I'm like, there's no way that I'm building my own career, but somebody's going to tell me exactly how to do it. That can't be it.
Yeah.
And that took a while for an 18-year-old kid to figure out for sure. And that was a big mental block of just because people are adults and they're older than you doesn't mean they know better than you.
Emotionally, I feel like this kind of tied into even like the mental aspect, but did you ever feel emotionally out of alignment in your work? Like, were you grinding, but like not being fulfilled? Maybe that was the part of the hustle.
Yeah, I think a little bit during hustle. I think a big one, especially between 18, 20, 21-ish, because again, I'm young. There's a lot of people that even if they were my age buying houses, which was rare, they still see me as a kid. And I think there was a big emotional aspect with certain clients that I would get really tied up because I am so devoted to their deals and their goals and trying to make it all work. And there were some deals that I lost out on, and they shouldn't have been lost. But it was because there was a disconnect between me and the client. And I wasn't in the right, maybe emotionally intelligent state to be able to put my foot down and be like, hey, remember what your goal was? Look at how we got here. Look at what we're winning for you. Like, don't forget this. Don't walk away from this deal. And I wish I had more emotional intelligence to be able to step into that power, which now I can. And I can kind of push back on some of my clients. Not to say that I push them into anything, because I'm on my client's side 100% of the time. But I think that was an emotional aspect for me, that I was almost afraid to say certain things, even when I knew I was right.
Oh, and spiritually, was there a spiritual or intuitive nudge that guided you into or through this career?
I think I ignored it for a little bit.
Okay.
And I think that bit me in the butt and then made it like scream in my face to be like, hey, you're not a lead gen person. You're not a cold caller. You're not any of this. We knew that. But what we do know is you're a relationship builder. I knew that from the beginning. I don't build relationships with everybody. I build relationships with the people that fuel me. And so I think I said yes to too many things at the beginning, and I should have said no more often, and really looked for the aligned people, the aligned partners in order to fuel my career. But I think it just took time, honestly, being alone with my own thoughts and figuring out what served me and what didn't.
Yeah.
And stop putting all of that extra stress and pressure on me to be able to figure that out. But it took years of honestly ignoring the intuition. And it didn't really come to fruition until the last, I would say, 3 years. Like, no joke, the first 7 years, like I was finding alignment, but I wasn't in alignment. I was getting there messily, and then I'd get off the track, and then I'd find it again and be like, whoa, how'd I get here? But the last 3 years, I've been way more intentional about my time, who I'm spending it with, why I'm spending it in certain ways.
That's huge.
Which is massive and so simple. Again, all these things can be so simple.
No, it's so simple. But we just make everything more complicated because we like have this internal dialogue and BS that
we think that life should be very complicated. And in all honesty, there are times that it will be, but you know you're on the right path when it's not. And you will find your people. And I think that was a big one for me the last 3 years. I realized I am a community builder. I'm a relationship builder. A big way that I've been doing it recently has been hosting events with people that I align with. I've done it at my Pilates studio. I've done it with a sound bath healer that I've known.
Oh my God, incredible.
It's been so much fun because then I get to bring people into the fold. I'm already doing these things. It's a lifestyle thing. And it's just about connecting something I love. It's a part of my life. And I think other people not only can benefit from it, but there's a lot of people that love it too. And
it's blending that instead of it just being work and pleasure. It's like everything being together, because at the end of the day, why does it have to be so separate?
Yes.
Why can't it all just flow?
Like we're all humans looking for connection. And then if other things come from it, amazing. But if not, and we're all connecting with people, or we're connecting with the right people, isn't that one of the most beautiful things in the world? And just having like joy and playfulness in your life. Like, I love that that's how I've been able to kind of restructure. Like, I'm not the person that does like, I'm going to do a real estate seminar mastermind that you're going to come to and like listen to me speak forever. No, but I'll take you to a Pilates studio and we'll go grab drinks afterwards at the little like Shake Shack thing. And we'll be
and you'll get to see this neighborhood that I love, and you might love it too.
And I'm like, and if you like, this is my home-based studio. I love it. If you're looking for a Pilates studio, you got to come here. But like, I want to comp to class and bring people in, but I'll like hand select people that I'm like, hey, this girl's opening a med spa. This girl partnered with a neuroscientist that has like a very specific machinery that alleviates, I don't even understand how it works. So I'm going to get on that next, but alleviates like lightness in your brain, especially from stress after just like sitting in under it for 30 minutes. And I was like, okay, your med spa and this contraption, you guys should partner. I'll bring other people in from different industries.
A connector. Like, you're a conduit.
Yeah. It doesn't have to do anything. If it brings me business eventually, awesome. But if not, and we're just making good connections, and it's because I have these people that I am already building relationships with, and I can see, hey, you guys are on the same wavelength, and I'm intentionally choosing you guys to be paired together. It's really cool to see when those relationships take off. I've seen girlfriends that I've paired together that are building businesses together that will collaborate with other people. And I'm like, all I did was put them in a room together.
And I don't think enough people have that mentality, because I've always been on the outskirts of that, where I'm a very big connector, but it's never been something that has come back in my direction. Not that I've needed it, but it's been very scarcity mindset. Like there's not enough to go around.
100%.
And that to me all changed when I also stepped into aviation. I'm like, wait a second, why am I getting so much support? Why am I getting so many calls of, hey, you need to meet this person and this girl is like that had never happened until I chose what my soul wanted, what spoke to me, and really how it made me feel inside.
Yeah. I think, especially with Power Haus Women, we talk about it all the time, that competition happens at the bottom, collaboration happens in the top. And I think about that all the time in any industry, not even in industries, in anything that you're doing. The people who are collaborating and truly collaborating, they do not see the competition or these other people in their space as that. They see them as an extension of them. Because that's, if you actually leaned on them that way, your business, your hobbies, your whatever it is that you're feeding would be bigger. You're only so much on your own. Yeah. You're so much bigger with people. You can scale in such a different way. And I couldn't, in all of my businesses, but especially in real estate and here locally, that's something that I hear all the time is there will be some agents that will not work with other agents because you're competition. We can't even talk to you. We can't share anything. And then there's other agents that will freely talk to us. And then we're making deals happen left and right, off market, doesn't matter. And that's how things happen.
Say that quote again.
Competition happens at the bottom and collaboration happens at the top.
I love it. You heard it here on Inside Out. Well, Morgan, thank you so much for this conversation and getting messy with me. Let's tell people where they can find you.
Amazing. Thank you for having me.
Of course.
On all social media, I'm Mrs. Right House with a W, and Power Haus Women, HAUS, because we're sassy. You can find us. We're there on all social media as well, or our website.
Amazing.
And then for local real estate, our brand new brokerage as of yesterday, we're The Order.
The Order. I didn't even know that. You guys revealed here right now. That's incredible. Well, this will all be linked in the show notes and tagged below. And you guys know where to find me at _insideout.podcast. You guys make sure you share this episode. This isn't just for people interested in real estate. This is people interested in aligning and the invisible string theory and really getting pulled into the life that you were always meant to have. And with that, I will see you next week. Bye.